Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific, and this one, it is a derby, North Island one at that. It is the Hurricanes taking on the Chiefs. Now, this is the way that the table sat at the start of the day, but since then, we have seen the Fijian draw get themselves the massive win over the Reds. So they move up to 15 points. The Reds gain the bonus point for being within 7, so that puts them up to 28, but the Chiefs, they want to create some separation. The Crusaders, they've got the bye this week. So if they're able to get the win here, they will sit as the sole first place for the end of the round. But for the Hurricanes, there is a big gap now between them and the Reds. 6 points in total. So a win here is vital for their season. It seems like there's a little bit of a split in terms of who people feel will be able to win this contest. But one thing's for sure, the Hurricanes going with a pretty strong side for this contest. Davida Mafaleo alongside a Safwa Moore and Tyrell Lomax in the front row. Now, I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, with the changes that we've seen, mainly because of how well those guys did start up against the Brumbies last week. There was actually some really good performances from the replacement forwards, or at least who we would normally see as the replacements. Caleb Delaney alongside Isaiah Walker-Leawiri in the locking duo with Braden Yossi at 6, Duplessis Karefi at 7, and Peter Larkai again will find himself in the number 8. Jersey Cam Roigard and Ruben Love, once again the 9-10 channel. Riley Higgins and Billy Proctor. When you talk about an impact, that midfield definitely made it last week. Billy Proctor only back for his 3rd game here of the Super Rugby Pacific season, and he's already looking like a shoo-in for that number 13 jersey. Kini Naholo, Natunani Punivai, and Callum Harkin as the number 15 for the Chiefs. They have made a few changes as well. Ollie Norris, brilliant performance off the bench last week, so does earn himself the starting spot here. Bradley Slater and George Dyer as the 2 and the 3. Josh Lord and Tupavai in the locking duo with Finau, Boshier and Jacobson in the loose forward trio. Cortez Ratima got himself 2 tries last week, so he will be the starting 9. Josh Jacob at 10, Quintupai and Daniel Rona in the middle. Leroy Carter back out on the left wing, Amoni Narua out on the right, and Sean Stevenson at number 15 as well. We have got there yellow versus orange, says Salah. And there, and also coaches think about the final round, saving their players to be fresh for the final. Not really, I don't think. I think it's more so just the injury side of things. The numbers are just getting worse and worse in terms of the amount of injured players from this season. We have got there has been a change, but just before you went live, says Kiwi Rob, so we will have to, of course, find that out as soon as we get off the KFC Zing here ad that they've shown 500 times. Afternoon, Hamish, says Daniel. Welcome in. Let's go to Kane, says Def Ripper. And also, hello, Hamish from chilly, sunny Durban, says JT. So a nice early morning start for yourself for this contest. And also, we've got plenty more Northern Hemisphere games coming in the near future too. So they will be, of course, a slightly better time zone. Sadist fans will be back in the Canes, says Novmum. I guess it's no different to when you back every team that isn't the Chiefs when the Crusaders are playing. So it's just the reverse of that scenario. And we have got there Kiwi Lads Eye, everyone, says Spider-Meat, welcome in. And also we have got there hello Rugby Rockers, says Ruth, a little bit earlier on, but looking through at the benches for this match. They are going to be as follows: Raymond Tuputupu sitting there as the number 16, Xavier Numia and Pasilio Tosi in the number 18 jersey, Zach Gallagher, Brad Shields, Iritara Inari, Riley Hohepa and Balin Sullivan there as the number 23. In terms of this Chiefs bench, they have got Taukiaho Ross and Ruben O'Neill, Naito Akoi, Simon Parker, Wallace Atiti, Xavier O, Gideon Rappling. These guys could make the difference in the later stages of this contest. And we have got the Hurricanes big spoon this week, fingers crossed. Says Shane, where is Damien? Is he playing? He is not. Had a hand injury a couple weeks ago. Can you show the table after going through the teams and the players, says Milo. We have already shown it, but we will put it up again. One change, or in terms of points, or 2 changes, in fact. Reds now on 28, Fijian draw on 15, seeing as they just got themselves the win earlier in the day. But this one's going to be a very entertaining New Zealand derby. These two sides love having entertaining matches. They just showed a highlight there of James Lowe in a Chiefs kit. Of course, that feels like an eternity ago. The man's been tearing it up for Ireland and Leinster, who are going to be playing in the semi-final of the Champions Cup later on tonight. We are also live for that game. But looking at recent form, the Chiefs first of all. In their last 4 games, they've had a few big wins. The one loss to the Waratahs, that was in the early stages of April. But other than that, they've been a very solid team, just losing their 2 games this season, one up against the Tars and one up against the Fijian draw for the Hurricanes. They have had a roller coaster. As you can see, 2 narrow losses to New Zealand sides, a draw up against the Force, but then they became the first New Zealand side to get a win over an Australian side in Australia as well, I should mention. I paused for way too long there. I had to remember what the exact stat was. But yeah, it's taken till 11 rounds for a New Zealand side to get a win in Australia. And currently the New Zealand sides, they do seem to be climbing. Hurricanes and the Blues are both within the top 6. I was just looking at the upgraded points in there, but it's changing. The Western Force and the Tars are now out of that top 6. Tars still have a chance of getting back in there while Blues in the top 6. They are at the moment, yeah. And it certainly shows that even though they lost a lot of games, right, there's still time in the season because there's only 11 teams and because so many games seem to be seesaw type of matches, few changes in terms of that table before the end of the season. You could see anyone really other than the drawer, unfortunately. So Gallagher is in at number 4. That is rather than Caleb Delaney. That is the late change that the Hurricanes have made. We have got there Sullivan, not a bad one to come or on the pine for the Canes. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, Billy Proctor and Riley Higgins absolutely teared it up last week. But they still have some pretty handy players up their sleeve too. Tars with 2 games in hand, says Milo. Not quite, well, they'll have one after this round because they are playing in about an hour or 2 hours and a half up against the Brumbies. So that is a bit of a switch that will happen in terms of the amount of games that they've got left. No switches in the starting lineup, though, for the Chiefs by the looks of it. They have still got Luke Jacobson, the captain, as the number 8, Sean Stevenson at the back, and then Carter and Narawa out on those wings. Could be extremely dangerous, but Josh Jacob, a lot of pressure on him. People have been missing Damian McKenzie a little bit. Anton Leonard-Brown also out in the midfield due to the injury of his collarbone, I believe it was. And greetings from Arania Hamish. Says Gerhard in there. I've just said the 6-2 split, no 10 cover here for the Chiefs, although I would assume that they can possibly have a bit of a reshuffle and find a way of filling that gap if they needed to. Sky Stadium, 11 degrees Celsius, 7 kilometres of wind, and a decent sized crowd by the looks of it. Like they've said, probably near perfect conditions when you consider some of the weather that we've seen around New Zealand over the last few weeks. The form guide, just the 1 loss in their last 4 for the Chiefs, whereas for the Hurricanes, they have had 2 losses, 1 draw, and 1 win. Both these sides coming off wins against Australian sides. Of course, do let me know your score predictions in the comments and the chat as well. But both sides making their way out of the tunnel. We see a few of I think that's the local coloured kits. As the kids make a tunnel for them to run through. Josh Lord, he looks like he's grown his beard in about a week. I swear he didn't have that much of one last week up against the Western Force, but it has come in very quick. And like the stream and subscribe, says Milo D Cake. And there as well. They're just showing there, though, for Josh Lord. He's only had the 4 games this season. Maybe that's why his beard doesn't look as big. I mean, maybe it looks different in the stands than it does on the field. 50 points to 35 for the Chiefs. Is that with or without a bonus point, Kiwi Rob? I would assume with a 15-point win, probably without. But you can still get one for that kind of margin. I was playing at 2 a.m. New Zealand time. 2 a.m. New Zealand time will be Edinburgh versus Bath in the Challenge Cup semi-final. And I believe we're going to be covering that one as well. 6 tries gains, 4 tries for the Chiefs, says Def Reaper. Looks like Braden Yossi had to make his way out onto the field, leading this Hurricane side for his 50th match. We have got there 27 points to 22. They flew for him in 2021. So he's been a pretty busy man since then when you consider that that's only 4 years for him to bring up 50 matches. Definitely when you also look at who the Hurricanes have had in those loose forward trios. Having a fight for every minute that he gets, but now he's been one of the standouts last year and this year in the loose forward trio. Gets a big hug from Duplessis Karefi. Will be open for a big game here as well. The Chiefs in a huddle, the Hurricanes, they're all spread out. So I'm assuming that we're going to see this game probably be cut open very early from both of these teams. Nick Berry, big smile on his face too. He will be in charge of this one. Damon Murphy, Jordan Way, the assistant referees, and Brett Cronin as the TMO. I thought Joe Schmidt stand down as Wallaby coach. I mean, he's still there. Yeah, he's staying until about midway through 2026, and then he's passing it off to Les Kiss, who will take over, but he decided to stick around for a little bit longer, which is great to see. We see there, played 80 minutes in his first start of the Brumbies, or first start of the season against the Brumbies last week. Alright, mate, my brother go the Chiefs. Question, will the Nations Cup, does that mean the Rugby Championship after this year is no more? No, the Rugby Championship, I believe, will still be going, but yeah, they've got a weird, it's all going to make sense soon, but the Rugby Championship and the Six Nations will still continue. And then the games that involve Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere sides during November and July all go towards an overall table thing, I think is the basis of it, but nicely taken by Luke Jacobson. And, I thought for a second he had lost that ball. His hands were above his head, but the ball was down at his balls. But now, Josh Jacob, nicely carried forward. Duplessis Karefi looking for the turnover, not quite getting it. 22 metres out from the line here for the Chiefs, and looks like Ratama will send the first kick to the air. I did read Watley's kiss, as I guess I'm still the toilet cleaner sad. Says Drape, who's playing at 2 a.m. tonight. I missed it, says Hilaria. It is Edinburgh versus Bath in the Challenge Cup semi-final. We've got a new member on the channel. Milo, thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated for your generosity. Now going short side, Cam Roygaard trying to snipe his way through. Hurricanes currently 45 metres out from the Chiefs line. Davida Mafaleo pops it up now. Oh, bit of a fumble there from Braden Yossi. He's done well to keep it in position. In fact, that's Yossi. So who was that? Oh, that's Isaiah Walker-Leawiri. I forgot he's decided to put on headgear now, rather than the bleach blonde tips. Scribe and hit the like, guys. Says Spider-Mink moving on the halfway line now. Roygaard goes back across to the left. Zach Gallagher trying to pump his legs, moving up to the halfway line yet again here. Rolling it back once more. Deciding to go high, down towards the 40-metre line, well regathered by Leroy Carter. So it's like a mini World Cup, kind of, but it's got more group stages, if that makes sense. So it's more of just a extended league, I guess you could say. But now, Peter Lakai, good tackle made on him. That's the Hurricanes. We're already 2 minutes into this contest and no one has had any stoppages. We just continue going. Good tackle made by Boshier. Ruben Love playing 10 for this game. Tyrell Lomax sits down at his opposite number in George Dyer. Bit of a statement made almost through. Kalamarka gets the pass and it goes straight into the hands of Daniel Rona. And it's going to be kicked in a touch by the Chiefs, but that is quite the long passage of play to start this match off. We have got their 20-30 Crusaders finish. 20-30 Crusaders aren't playing, are they? Unless we're talking about a different game, Ange, that's happening in the future or that's happened in the past. Yeah, the Crusaders are not playing this round. They actually have the bye. But now, Braden Yossi. Cam Roygaard going back across to the left-hand side. Ruben Love goes to Duplessis Karefi. And whoop whoop, says Milo there too. And now it's going to be taken by the Chiefs. 25 metres out from their line. Lord goes to Sean Stevenson. Tries a couple quick steps. Just wrestled down by Gallagher. Over these sides, they seem to be playing, I don't want to say safe at the moment, but it does seem like they're very structured. They're not taking too many risks, although now Callum Harkin type of player. Oh, you got to be careful. He almost did a tip tackle there, the Chiefs defender and Daniel Rona. Roygaard going to Ruben Love, tries it off the side of the boot. That is one of the worst kicks I think we will see of this round, but luckily for him, he's charged down the opposition kick and put in kick almost straight into touch. So 2 rough ones in a row for Ruben Love, but it's bounced off a Chiefs player. I mean the grand final. Says Ange. I see. And good to see Satiti back on the bench, says Quandele. Yeah, he's looked phenomenal the last 2 weeks off the bench, and he just seems like, well, that's the thing. I don't even know if the Chiefs need him to be in the starting lineup at the moment with the way that they're playing. But he's just an impact player and a half, and I do see him as a starter for the ABs when they do get selected. How about a flash report on all the footy for the weekend, Hamish, says Roger. There's honestly been very little at the moment. Only 2 games have taken place. The Fijian draw bet the Reds by 3, and the Blues bet the Western Force by about 25. But those are all the games that we're seeing. I think it was 27, in fact, or maybe even 29. But those are the only games due to the reshuffle of Super Rugby fixtures. We've got a Sunday game instead, Tupasi Karefi. Now attacking, whereas this is being played in Wellington. And the weather's actually very nice, which I think some were surprised by. Now, trying to get over there is Luke Jacobson, and he's forced a turnover for the Chiefs. Some nice work from the veteran in the breakdown. Quintal Pyer kicking it downfield. This one's rolling towards the sideline, but Natunani Punivai is back to be able to claim it. Gets tackled well. Now gets it away to Billy Proctor. Puts the fend in the face of Tupavai. And also driving home, listening to the feed. Good on you, Hamish. Says Simon. When George doesn't get good KFC, says Milo for the George emojis. That is exactly the face he makes. Now kicked high from Cam Roygard. Atonani Punivai chasing after this. Josh Jacob is back there. Pops it off to Amoni Narawa. And a great tackle by Peter Lakai. I'm a Blue Supporter 100% this game. I lean a little bit on to the north, says Spider. Now still inside of their own territory. 10 metres from halfway. Back into the pocket to Jacob. Oh, Summer Petty now finds himself out on the wing and slaps it back for the Chiefs. Harkin went up for it, but he was never winning that height battle. I think the Canes should win, especially now that McKenzie isn't playing, says Mikhail. And also Warriors Development Squad won the Harold Matthews Grand Final today. They beat Newcastle Knights 24 points to 12. So nicely done by the young Wars. The older Wars, I guess you could call them. They're not doing too badly at the moment either. All right, we'll go like this. We will go like that as well. There we go. But at the moment, in terms of the odds, the Chiefs still come in as slight favourites. Are we over there? What do you think, mate? Says McCall. No, I think you're bang on. The narrative that everyone's been going with. I saw on Sky Sport, their headline was something about can the Hurricanes can Hurricanes take advantage of an injury-ridden Chiefs or something? So straight away they're playing the Chiefs as wounded, but they do still come in as favourites, which is quite funny. And this one, definitely because they're the away side in this contest. But Ruben Love pops it up. That's going to be dropped by Daniel Rona. It was knocked on. Nick Berry says, we'll just let it slide. So it's going to be kicked downfield. I'm surprised all three missed it. Sama Penifino, okay. I was about to say, he almost picked that up to score, but at least it was obvious that he knocked the ball on in that one. Someone's done his knee, I just heard as well. That doesn't sound good. Oh, no, that's Kenny Naholo. That does not look good one bit, ladies and gents, and any hopes that man had of making the All Blacks may just have disappeared. Oh, his knee got stuck while he was running. He tried to change direction, and he just kind of hyperextended it badly. That Luke Jacobson is pure tungsten steel. And Kia ora, Hamish. So the Chiefs win this match convincing or close. It should be close. What happened? He was just running. Pretty much tried to slightly shift his direction and just kind of, I guess, dug into the ground or something. But it looked like he kind of buckled his knee without overextending it, if that makes sense. So a bit of a concern there for Kenny Naholo. That will bring a bit of a stoppage to this game as well. And yes, sir, we older Wars need to step up at it, or Wars to step it up a bit. No more league now. Just want to update a score, says Rape. And which squad is stronger between these two teams? Well, it's a tricky one because squad-wise, you'd almost argue it's different to... Kenny Naholo's not continuing this match. It looks like he might not even be continuing for this season. But squad depth-wise, they're both pretty handy. For this match, they're both walking wounded. Like we've said, McKenzie's out. Anton Leonard-Brown's out for the Chiefs. For the Hurricanes, they've been missing quite a few players. Pitu Munga-Jensen out with a head knock. Had a couple more severe injuries earlier on that kept Proctor and Riley Higgins out for a while, but now both of them have been returning. And should the Chiefs win convincing or a close match? I think it will be close, hopefully. And what happens, says Milo, just pretty much dug into the... Well, he didn't even... It didn't look like he hyperextended from the replay. It just looked like maybe he put his foot down and just buckled it to the side. Damn, can he have that 11 jersey sewn up in the ABs? So here's the Sporting Kiwi, who's on for Naholo. I believe that will bring the change of Balin Sullivan, who has been playing a bit on the wing, so that's not, I guess, a massive downside for the Hurricanes. It's not like they've got a guy playing completely out of position, but it's definitely not the hit to the side that they wanted near the start of this game. Good morning, boys from California, up for the match over the weekend, says Fussy. So what's the time in California at the moment? It must be about, I suck at time zones, but is it either 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. for yourself, Fussy? It will be one of the two. Cross kick attempted here from the Chiefs, nicely taken by Daniel Rona, who's tried to grab it, but has slightly missed it, and it's nicely picked up by Ruben Love, 25 metres out from the Canes line. At the moment, both of these teams relatively evenly matched. Cam Roygaard going for the box kick, running on to this is Sean Stevenson, who claims it nicely under the high ball. It's midnight, says Fussy. Yeah, so it'll be relatively late by the time this one ends. Of course, the LA 7's happening. That'll be the rough time zone for us here in New Zealand, as well as South Africa. Kicked him behind from Quinn Tupaia. Ruben Love, his foot might have been on the touchline there. He's kicked it out on the full anyway, so either way it was going back to where he was. In that case, he probably would have preferred that they just said he was in touch, which I think he was. I think his toe was on the line. But Ruben Love, that is his third bad kick of the game, and we're only 8 minutes in. That will be a bit of a concern for this Hurricanes side. They got a Super Rugby. He's gained 359 metres, scored the 2 tries. They go to the front there for the Chiefs, but that pass from Lord to Slater was forward, so we'll go back for a scrum. Oh no, the hook is, no. So yeah, it's the forward pass. Yeah, it was a netball one from Josh Lord. And Coffee Pot is Hot Rugby and Who Do You Sport says the What's Up Guys podcast. I'm pretty impartial when it comes to the New Zealand teams, which does make it always enjoyable for these games. Looking through at the head-to-head, 3 of the last 5 have been won by the Chiefs, including the most recent one in 2024, where they were able to beat the Hurricanes 30 points to 19. Now, that game had significance because that was actually a playoff game. And that was the one that the Hurricanes were defeated in. As this great defense or poor attack, says Milo D. Cake. I think it's too early to say. Like, we're 9 minutes in. Both sides have had a couple errors here and there, mainly handling. It's been pretty wet in Wellington recently, although luckily for this game, it has actually played in what would be considered fine conditions, even though it's about 11 degrees Celsius. Now, Balin Sullivan running forward. He is the replacement for Kini Naholo. Now, off to the right-hand side. Nice run from Braden Yossi. Both sides have been defending relatively well, though. There haven't been a massive amount of gaps. The Wires play soon. They'll be starting at 8, won't they, Chris? Who are they taking on tonight? Roygaard puts it up high, 40 metres out from his own line. And now Leroy Carter taking it nicely under the high ball, pops it away to Sean Stevenson, who also offloads to Ratama. The Canes look a lot better, says NZ Right. I assume that would be with balls in hand. Or ball in hand, I should say. 7's games played yet? Not yet. So the first ones are taking place at around 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And the first one that we are covering on the channel is at 6 a.m. So, yeah, a little bit of a later start since it is in LA. Normally we would have a few that would have happened by now. But, yeah, with the time zone, it means that it's a bit further in the future. Roygaard back across to Ruben Love, to Vita Muffaleo. Going across now, Higgins finds Proctor, tries the grubber. In behind again, this one's going to sit up awkwardly. Jacob is tackled right next to the sideline, and he was in touch, which means that the Hurricanes will have themselves a line out. A really nice build there and a good territory gain. They've actually decided to take this one quickly for the Hurricanes. And in the wide channel, they have got Natunani Punivai, but instead Harkin will take contact. I don't know if that was the best choice. It looks like Boschia was almost able to get the steal. Now Peter Larkai throws himself at the line. Roygaard pops it up again to Xavier Numi. In fact, that time it's Tavita Muffaleo. It looked like someone stayed down for a bit there. I'm not too sure who it was, but pick and go there from the Canes. It's going to be a penalty now for offside. And come on, the Chief says no, mum. Quick tap taken by Roygaard, but the ref says no, because 13 black was offside. It's actually Peter Larkai who stayed down. Took a bit of a knock there. And the Wales Cowboys, says Daniel. And kick off 7:30, and they play the Cowboys, says Chris. And Brad Shields for the All Blacks, number 6 jersey up for grabs. It honestly is, because Samapeni Finau probably hasn't completely secured it yet. Wallace Satiti, if he's playing 6 again, I think that he'll be right up there in terms of contenders for that jersey. And then, you've also got like you said, a veteran like Shields. I don't know whether they go to him, though, because if they're looking towards that next World Cup, they might argue that he might not be there for it. This game is intensely not intense, says Drake, but it looks like they're actually going to take on the 3 points here, the Hurricanes, 12.5 minutes into the game, just to give them some form of points on the board. I don't know if you remember, but I mentioned I'd like Ruben Love at 10. I filled his fullback position. So far, it has been mainly Callum Harkin, who's been looking pretty decent. I do have to say, though, for Ruben Love, his kicking has left a lot to be desired from that 10 jersey. I do think he's better at kicking from the back than 10. Like I mentioned, first 8 minutes of this game, we saw him have 3 poor kicks, which all pretty much just gave possession back to the opposition. Luckily for him, one of them bounced off a leg of the Hurricanes player, so then it went a touch. I'm going to bed early tonight so I can wake up for the 7s. I'm getting old, so I need my beauty sleep. Says no, mum. Where has this game been played? Being played in Wellington for this matchup, so home advantage for the Canes. Now, Braden Yosse with the pick and go have got themselves a 3-0 lead at the moment for the Hurricanes. And Brad played for the Poms. Says Drape. He did indeed. He also has played for the ABs in the past, though, hasn't he? And nicely taken by Josh Jacob. Moves up to the halfway line before he is tackled by Zach Gallagher. Bradley Slater, quick hands, trying to go on the outside, but it's going to be stolen. In fact, no, taken straight back for Kalen Boshier, who's wrestled into touch, just a bit slippery near those sidelines. Bro, Warriors are mud. Aren't they like sitting 5th or 4th on the table at the moment in the NRL? Table, where are they sitting at the moment? Warriors are, they're 4th. They won 5 games, lost 2. That doesn't look too bad to me. The Chiefs without key players is right my balls. You could argue that both teams are. Chiefs haven't got McKenzie or Anton Leonard-Brown. Hurricanes, they've been a little bit unlucky with some of the injuries. Like their season was going to be built around having certain players in jerseys, like sort of a Harry Godfrey. He was going to be one of the stars by the looks of it for them, and then he just got injured and disappeared. Billy Proctor now back. So I feel like the Chiefs are dealing with the issues that the Canes had almost for the first half, but now the roles are a little bit reversed. Ruben Love is the brother of my intermediate school teacher aide. Says, what's up, guys, podcast. And also go the Chiefs. Says Keith in there as well. Now Ratama fires it back to Jacob in the pocket, about 30 metres out from the line. Nicely taken again by Callum Harkin inside of that Hurricanes 22. That's a great kick. It's gone into the half of the Chiefs. Morning, evening, Hamish. Welcome in. If you are doing extremely well, I hope you're excited for all the random hour games that we have got throughout the night, whether that is the 7s. We actually have to really enjoy this last leg of the 7s because it's the last time we get to see all those teams in the same location, isn't it? Because of the changes to divisions and whatnot. Now thrown in, nicely claimed, Tupou Vai. Going across now, Jake and Brad Shields is already eligible again for the All Blacks. Yeah, it's been for quite some time. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe Robinson says, you know what, we need a little bit of an older player in there, depending on what his other selections are. That's a good kick downfield from Josh Jacob, looking for a 50-22, but nicely claimed by Sullivan. We'll kick it downfield, and it does go into touch again, about 40 metres. In fact, by the face that he made, probably only 30 or so out from his line. And the Hurricane says, Colin, you think Chiefs going to win? I think it's going to be a pretty tough game. Will Jordan plays for the Satyrs. No other teams, so stop asking, says Kiwi Rob. He was obviously away for that stream. That had that somehow become a thing. Pineapple on pizza is great, says Not Ost. We have got there another penalty going the way of the Hurricanes. Lots of key players missing for the Chiefs, says Colin. Yeah, I mean, we look at the injury list each and every week for these sides, and they just keep on growing. Like, I think they're losing more players as the season progresses than the guys who are coming back from injury. While we're at this little bit of a stoppage here, we'll go Super Rugby injury list. So, for the Chiefs, ladies and gents, in terms of their injury list, they have got Damian McKenzie out. Atene Nana Satoro, Caleb Trask, Liam Coombs-Fabling, Anton Leonard-Brown, Malachi Rappling, Fiti Sa, and Rameka Poyapi. So honestly, mainly backs. In fact, 90% backs for the Chiefs. For the Hurricanes, they're missing Brett Cameron, who was out for the whole season due to an early knee injury, Harry Godfrey, Peter Umaga Jensen, and also Devin Flanders. Now, I'd say it's that 10 jersey that has caused the Hurricanes the most trouble since Cameron and Godfrey both out early. It seems like they're starting to find some sort of rhythm now. Roygart pops it off now on the inside to Isaiah Walker. Leo Woody 40 metres out from the Chiefs line. Still sitting 3-0 in this contest. No one able to score a try as of yet. Duplessis Karefi trying to find his way through. Hit hard by Slater. Howdy from South Africa says, JG, welcome in again. And also, we've got the best chance Hurricanes have, really, says Colin. Yeah, they have to make the most of it. Like I said, the Reds are getting away from them a little bit on the overall standings. And if they're able to get the win here, there's still that chance of a home playoff final up against an Aussie side, which is definitely what they'll be aiming for. Now, Billy Proctor going for the kick in behind, just finds some space, and once again, just finds the touchline. Good kick for territory. Maybe they wanted to run it. That wasn't the move that they would have been after, but I believe it was the plan. Slow it down and have a chance at stealing that line out. So far, we have seen 0 seconds for the Chiefs inside of the opposition 22. They've had 37% possession and 40% territory. So the Hurricanes are having all of the rhythm at the moment, but it's whether or not they make the most of it. The Wars are just about to start up the Wars. Up the Dawars. Says Kiwi Rob. Getting fancy with it. If Satutu moved to 6, I'd say he could be in the All Blacks again. But I guess he insists on only playing 8. And that's something that's hurt him, I think, a little bit in the past, being a one position player. You look at someone like, that's going to go across, someone like a Wallace Satiti, for instance, who they picked, I believe, over Satutu. Plays 8, can play 6, could probably play 7 as well, whereas Satutu limits himself to playing in the one jersey where New Zealand have one of the best 8s in the world, and the best 8 in New Zealand playing with Adi Savia. So you're kind of always going to be bench at best, but then if you're only playing number 8, they're not going to pick you for the bench too often because they want someone who can cover the other positions in the trio. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shot to his own foot in a way. But I also don't know whether or not the Blues have asked him whether he wants to move and try and play any other position in that loose forward trio. Perhaps if they had a couple injuries, we might see the shuffle. I think Duplessis Karefi is the man who has been penalised there, just on the wrong side of the breakdown. What position has already been playing this year? He's been in the number 8 jersey again. Right, Chiefs get a try so I don't cry. Says Nov Mum. It would be a pretty rough game for the Chiefs if they went from top of the table with their points differential to not score a single try in this match. So hopefully there's one on the verge. What happened to Damien? Hand injury. Coming back soon, though, is the verdict by the sounds of it. So not the end of the world for him, not the end of the season either. And hopefully we get to see him at some point in the near future. Now, Amoni Narua, right next to the breakdown. Cortez Ratama pops it up to the hands of Samapeni Fee now. They've got the penalty advantage at the moment for offside. Sick rhymes, Novmum, says Milo. Attack and run from Vai. 5 metres out from the line now. Ratama goes across to Daniel Rona. Oh, trying to go through the middle was Isaiah Walker-Leawiri. Nick Berry says no. Isaiah Walker-Leawiri goes, but I'll have one last kick at it, just in case. Still under penalty advantage. And it looks like they're going to start shifting this one in the near future. They have got numbers out to the left-hand side. Right, Ratama now gets it across. Quinn Tupai goes behind Sean Stevenson. Pops it up to Daniel Rona, who spins through and scores the try. I think they had Carter on the outside who was waiting for it, but he was marked up, so that was a good move from Rona to cut inwards. Chiefs have favourable upcoming schedule after Crusaders on road next week, Moana at home and the Highlanders afterwards, says Jonathan. And hot chips with fish and kebab, smear with tea sauce. They got to try, so I will not cry, says no mum, but a good run from Rona. Just does enough. Who missed this tackle, I wonder? It was Callum Harkin. Riley Higgins went far too high on him. And opening up a corned beef, who you got winning before it started, Hamish? Opening a corned beef. Like as in one of those corned beef in a can thingies. But before this game, I was pretty undecided, if I'm being honest. There's something about these two sides playing that I can never pick a winner. Like, you can look at the odds and you can look at the season, but just on any given day, either of these sides can win. And I mean, their last 5 games being split 3-2 probably indicates that as well. The kick is successful from Jacob, making the score now 7 points to 3 in favour of the Chiefs. And I've had a similar situation when it comes to French toast. I'm starting to like it again. And Trevor, who says rock my balls for the Chiefs? Daniel Rona, Chiefs player, in the number 13 jersey for this game, due to Anton Leonard-Brown sadly being out with a shoulder injury. He'll be out for the rest of the season, probably out for the rest of the year too. Chiefs versus Crusaders, spicy game next week. That one's going to be knocked on now. Now Peter Lakai looking to break through. That's the last thing that the Chiefs wanted. Reminds me a little bit of when Harry Potter scored within about 15 seconds of the kickoff. In fact, it was less than that, probably about 10-second kickoff. And the Chiefs were caught napping. Now Braden Yorsi. Low tackle on him by Kalen Boshia. Looks like he might have had something hit him in the eye. Looks like he's got a bit of a scratch next to it. Now ball's still there for Roygar. New penalty advantage in favour of the Hurricanes. Pacific Real Deal says rape. Now Karifi. Oh, Boshia loses his footing again. Roygar goes off to the side. Good shot on him by Ollie Norris. Still under the penalty advantage. Lakai met early by Tupovai. But he's a wizard. Says Noros. And why 8 points for the Chiefs on the board? Obviously, flash score can't count, I would say, is the big one. Hopefully they update it at some point. As Iwaka Leoweri still moving forward. Oh, no, they've taken it all off them now. Hopefully they give it back. Now, Roygaard going off to the right out to Billy Proctor. Great fend. He was very close to the sideline, but manages to keep the ball in the field of play. And they'll go back. Oh, no. I think they will go right back for that original one. Will Cortes Ratama get the AB's call-up? I believe so. He was in the environment last year as well. Like, we've got to remember, before Roygaard was back from his injury, Ratama did get a lot of time with TJ Perenara. And also, I mean, Noah Hotham was in there as well, actually, as the other one of the three. So I think he'll be back in there. With Satutu only playing 8, it makes me wonder if Rico Ioane has an ego, where he tells us Vern he's only playing 13, so Vern is too scared to play him on the wing. I don't know. For Rico Ioane, I haven't heard anywhere about whether or not he just wants to play 13. I assume maybe that is the case, and maybe that's why he's still in that jersey. But, yeah, he's certainly... I'm curious to see what they do with him at Leinster, because imagine if he goes up north and then plays on the wing for Leinster. That would definitely confuse a lot of people, and then some would say that it was the Blues and the All Blacks that were holding him back from finding his potential. And we have got there who wins between 100 Hurricanes versus an adult gorilla. That seems to be the trend at the moment. What did the adult gorilla do to people is my question. I know Harambe was a thing, but since then everyone's just obsessed with trying to attack this random gorilla. I think if you give a gorilla a mirror, it'll probably attack itself. So that could be the tactic. Gorilla versus 100 mirrors. 60% possession at the moment for the Hurricanes. 59% territory. So definitely, you could say, in control of certain aspects of the game, but they find themselves down by 1 at the moment. I heard you just dig a hole. The biggest problem with that is I imagine digging a hole would take a bit longer than a gorilla getting to you. You know, like if I see a gorilla, I'd just go and then get the shovel out, couple hours of hard work, and then that gorilla should leave you alone. Canes need Geordie back, says Death. Adults are not shabby by the Canes right now. I thought we would be down by 20 by now, says Drake. That's pretty brutal for them at home, that is for sure. You gave them no shot in this contest. Why is Ruben Love wearing different socks than normal Hurricanes? It is due to not just Ruben Love as well, I should mention. It is kids or club round, of the comp, which does mean a few of these guys are actually wearing different coloured socks, I believe. The likes of Duplessis Karefi, he has got blue and white. Roygaard's got blue and black. Natunani Punivai is a bit the same too, so it's just down to club rounds, so you wear your club coloured socks. And most of them are. Callum Harkin, for instance, he's got the navy green on. I don't think about physical labour being a gorilla's weakness. That's my bad, says Pro Plebe. Right, that one's gone into touch. Time is all. Uh-oh. So Nick Berry went over to Ollie Norris and went, I've been asked to stop the game for you. Ollie Norris looked at him and went, 4, and then he said, for an HIA, and he went, okay, sweet. So he's just gone off the field. So he seems like he's all right. So his mouth guard's obviously said something. But the funny thing is, well, it's not really funny if he's actually got a head knock, but last week he was the HIA replacement, and now he's getting to go off and a new HIA replacement. Now, last week the HIA replacement did extremely well, being Ollie Norris. We have got there, gorilla expert said the gorilla would kill about 40 men, then get tired. Says Wade. Which gorilla expert was like, this is my moment to shine? You know, everyone's asking about these gorillas and I know things. So now it's my chance to really cement my legacy. Evening, Hamish, at all. Lots of turnovers already. There's been quite a few. Yeah, looks like the Hurricanes are opting for another 3-pointer. The Chiefs have given away the 4 penalties in the last about 14 minutes. I wear different coloured socks sometimes. But no one notices because my pants or trousers cover them, says Bruce. Well, sometimes you just got a set that have one hole in them, you know, so I'm going to make sure that you're making them up. That sock's got a hole. I'll check my own socks, and one of them is a bit holy. I don't think the gorilla gets tired unless it's doing physical labour like digging a hole, says Pro Plebe. Although the bad idea would be to give the gorilla the shovel from the get-go, because that thing would possibly know how to swing a shovel, you'd assume. 10 seconds left for Ruben Love on his timer. Strikes it well, and ooh, that one, okay, that's worked. It looked like it was doing a bit of a weird curve. I don't know who he was yelling at there, but he was pointing to himself, looking over at the bench. And I think he might have said something, doubt me. So I feel like he's having a bit of words with, I don't know whether or not it was the Chiefs bench that he was looking at or a coach or something, but he seemed like he was giving someone a bit of a chat. And he didn't miss, says Novmum. It's I heard just give the gorilla some white powder, says Colossus. But now, Hurricanes under a lot of pressure, only 5 metres out from their line. And that one's going to go into touch. Yeah, no, you've got a good point there. Don't give the gorilla a shovel. That's my bad, said Pro Plebe. You know, I imagine a shovel, well, unless it's to distract it. But then I don't think you're getting that shovel back. Clark, Laidlaw, and a bit of some extra chewing gum by the looks of it. Popped it off the table. Maybe stress chewing after the Hurricanes. I mean, they've had a decent start to this match, but they'll be very disappointed that they haven't scored any tries yet. Like, they are leading 9 points to 7. It's a good start, but eventually they've got to start converting some of these chances into points of a larger variety than 3. Cortez Ratama going back across to the right-hand side. Quintal Pye going across, short ball from Josh. Jacob looked a little high. And it's going to be a knock-on there. What did I miss earlier? Says Rock, just the one try of Daniel Rona, although I think you were here for that one. So you're talking the previous games, and if so, the draw managed to beat the Reds. That was a big upset. And then also, yesterday we saw the Blues beat the Western Force. Shoveling and digging for tough guys. Who's got gorillas? Says Roof, who updates your scoreboard. Says, Wade, it's an online scoreboard. So pretty much I just put it up, and it's like screen sharing type thing. And every once in a while it chooses to update. It hasn't updated the extra points, but yeah, it's just an online one. And where did I miss the Chiefs? Or what did I miss? Chiefs ahead by 1 point, down by 2 now after a kick from Ruben Love. Looks like they're middle of the field here with the scrum, about 40 metres out from their own line, the Hurricanes. Hurricanes were competitive with the Brumbies on the road, but only tied Western Force. So mixed results, says Jonathan. Make the shovel as sharp as a sword to weaponise it, says NZ Riot. But then I guess the big question is, why do you have a shovel? Because if it was to dig a hole, if you make your shovel sharp, it's probably not going to be a very good shovel. So it's all a bit of a mind game, really. Now scrum here, knock on from the Hurricanes. Just coming off that scrum, wheeling around a little bit. And then, yeah, just letting it slip through his fingertips. And we have it there, nice close, says Ruth. Who's quicker at the moment, Jordan or Ioane? I'd say Rico's probably still quicker, but Will Jordan looks effortlessly fast, if that makes sense. Like, Will Jordan kind of just runs, and he doesn't look like he uses a lot of arms. He kind of just holds the ball and goes like this. Whereas Rico's more of a hold it in one hand, and this arm's going like that. So I feel like maybe Rico's time would still be quicker over the 100 meters, but Will Jordan just seems like he doesn't have to try to run quick. That's a forward pass from Quinn Tupaia. Hurricanes have done pretty well to shut him out of this game at the moment. And Yo says, Ray, welcome in. And Hamish is going to get a hat-trick of tries this game. I don't actually think anyone's going to get it. At the moment, of course, Daniel Rohn is the most likely, seeing as he's the only man who's scored. But other than that, just doesn't seem like we're going to see too many tries here. Glad you made it, Tim. Says Ruth. And also, who's winning the halfback race, says Wade. It's been a little bit 50-50 at the moment. I would say that, the Hurricanes have had a lot more ball, but Ratama has had some, pretty decent moments, because at the end of the day, the Chiefs are the side that were able to score that first try. So, yeah, it's been a bit 50-50. Roigard had a handling error too, so you could argue that the Chiefs halfback, for now, has a little bit of momentum. And Hamish, as usual, fantastic again in commentary. Says Ruth, and we have got plenty more coming up throughout the night. 6 handling errors from the Chiefs so far. Hopefully that number will diminish in the second half. Roigard has that one fully under control. Goes off to Riley Higgins. Hurricanes having to attack from inside of their own half. Peter Larkai gets them close to 40 out. Now again, Roigard will go back into the pocket to Ruben Love. Great catch from Moni Naroa. That was going to be a penalty blown there by Nick Berry. Instead, just gives the advantage. Cortez Ratama. Hard by Natunani Punivai, who's the starting two at the moment for the ABs based off super form. Based off super form's actually really difficult, because I would argue that Amua hasn't quite been his best throughout the season. I think a lot of Hurricanes supporters would also agree. Samisoni Taukiaho, based off current form, you'd probably say takes it. Taylor's been solid enough, he'll still be in the environment anyway. And then, honestly, off who's, Moananu's not looking too bad in terms of current Super Rugby form, but then you probably wouldn't chuck him into the starting jersey just because of the Super Rugby season. What game time can we let? At the moment, we are 34 minutes through, and the scoreboard still has not updated to give the Hurricanes 9. Hopefully before the second half gets underway. Who do the Blues need to win out of this game? So for the sake of the Blues climbing up the rankings more, the Chiefs is more beneficial for the Blues. The Hurricanes at the moment are sitting on 22 points. The Blues, I believe, are also on 22. So theoretically, they would want the Chiefs, I guess, to win this game. But then that hurts to say, I assume, for some Aucklanders, if they say, yeah, we want Chiefs to get the victory. It's going to be loose. Nicely taken by Cam Roigard, just out from his own line. Kicks it down towards the halfway line. Skips through Sean Stevenson's fingers. He's having all sorts of troubles trying to regather that one, but has now got it. Going for the kick in behind. Chasing after. He didn't commit, but it gets a beautiful bounce. That's a knock on. Is it deliberate from Callum Harkin? Because if it is, this might be quite bad. Because, no, they've just called it as a knock on. I think Jacobson wants them to check it. It was about a 3-on-1 if he hadn't got the hand to it. So this might be a crucial one here. It's an extended hand, and I think you have to argue that wasn't in the motion of a tackle. So I'd be very surprised if they don't have a look at this one. they're not going to look at this one. Wow. I would have thought just a replay from the other side would have shown that it was a bit of an outstretched hand away from the body. In sevens, that's a yellow card every day of the week. Of course, a bit different in the rugby union side of things. Second half should be a solid. But there's one team, says Mr. All-In, and don't foresee any hat-tricks. Yeah, it's going to be tough unless someone cuts it open big time. And the second half, guys, Chiefs going to win trust, and that should be hungry. Any bolters expected for the French tour? Moananu's probably one of the only ones that a lot of people would say. I'm just trying to think of anyone who hasn't been in the All Blacks environment before. Maybe Leroy Carter or a Timothy Tavatava. I don't know if Tavatava Nawai's now still got the same momentum as he had near the start. And Narawa surely must be in the mix for a recall. Yeah, I think he will get the call up again. Definitely with Talia going overseas. Now pick and go from Leroy Carter again. And mate, what is going on in the game? We had a stoppage in the scrum that took about a minute and a half. And now back on attack for the Chiefs. Trying to get in there was Peter Larkai. Loses his footing. Quinto Paya trying to break through Braden Yossi. Cortez Aratama goes off to Kalen Boshia, very close to the sideline, and that's going to be another advantage this time against the Hurricanes. I think Leroy Carter will replace Mark Talia. Says Kiwi Rob. Now off to the left. Oh, sorry, in fact, this time they shift right. Summer Penny Fee now. Leroy Carter, pick and go round the side of the breakdown. Still under pressure. Kalen Boshia can't reach out, but he will be just short of the line. Peter Larkai in off his feet, so once again he has to leave it alone. It looks like Ratama looking both ways. He's got Leroy Carter behind him, but he is going to shift it in behind. Josh Jacob goes to Sean Stevenson. Pass was behind him, but he'll pin his ears back. Look for the offload to Narawa. That was poor from the Chiefs, losing 25 metres in the process of that play. And Springer Bolter. Macus Springer, he's an interesting one for me because he might get a nod a little bit more than some other guys because he is in the Crusaders environment. But at the same time, I do think, yes, he scored 5 tries in that game earlier on in the season. And he scored a lot of tries throughout the year. But a lot of those tries have come from just running the ball over the try line, which sounds harsh. But, the try scoring tally, I don't think fully represents the season that he's had. He's been in great form, though. And he's scored multiple tries from doing some great work. But yeah, those numbers are definitely boosted up from some great backlines of the Crusaders. A little bit similar to Sevu Reece. When you're on a side that is scoring heaps of tries for fun, as a winger, you've got a pretty good shot of getting some. Looks like they're actually taking on, like I said, the 3 points here, the Chiefs. And finally, the scoreboard has updated the extra 3 for the Hurricanes. And the Wombles Wars are on fire. Says TH. And that one's going to go over. Mate, can you please not deviate from the match so much some of us really want the game commentating, says Mikhail. Well, I would recommend iHeartRadio. It's an app here in New Zealand, which I believe they do play-by-play of the game, the radio-style commentary. It's very difficult to balance them both, and that's one of the reasons why people come back is because we actually talk to them rather than just saying what's happening in the game full-time. But yeah, we'll still get the key moments in as well. But when there's a stoppage at a scrum, we're not going to talk about what colour boots the players are wearing or who's got their ass hanging out the most at scrum time. We're going to probably have a bit of a chat. Watch up. Says Milo, good evening/evening. Are you covering the Champions Cup later? We are indeed. Both Champions and Challenge Cup semi-finals will be covered. Now, Roygaard going across to the right-hand side. Billy Proctor going out wide. Nicely taken by Balin Sullivan. Looks like the Hurricanes are going to have the last crack of the game. Back across, Ruben Love going off. Oh, interception thrown by Billy Proctor, and Daniel Rona will get his second try. The hat trick is now on. We have got there. Does the scoreboard only update if the Chiefs are winning? It seems that way, doesn't it? It seems very quick to add their points. I think Fiaki will be picked before Macca, says MDC, but that is a brilliant try at the end of the half. One of the rare mistakes that you see from Billy Proctor. They did have numbers to be able to use, but just the pressure from Tupavai to then force the risk. And Daniel Rona, he was up very early. He was ready for it. It does get the try. Chiefs got one, says Roof. Hat trick is definitely on, says Milo. And guys, Chiefs are just too classy, See, here's Gabriel, but yeah, read like a book there for Daniel Rona. And now the Chiefs, they'll be able to extend that lead heading into the halftime break. Now, chance here to be able to line up this kick for Josh Jacob, and has gone over. Hurricanes, Sears high life, so that will now make the score separated by 8 during the halftime break. Unbelievable Proctor the ball doctor. Sears roof, and Chiefs defense created that. Yeah, like Daniel Rona, Billy Proctor threw the pass, but like, I do think that that's one of those ones most players in that scenario, because of where it was and the quickness that the Chiefs were able to get up there and get in their face. Tupavai, I think, deserves a lot of credit too. The amount of pressure that he put on the man beforehand to force the risky pass was very nicely done. Draw one last minute try. They did indeed. Last minute up against the Reds for a massive victory, and now, you know, their playoff game hopes are still off, but they're that little bit closer now. Spewing missed the end of the draw. Here's Ash, and it's flying past. Here's Ruth. And also we've got the Hurricanes are not too far behind. Here's Ruth Carter, and also we've got there, it's flying past. Here's Ruth. Yeah, first half already down and dusted. Or done and dusted, as the saying goes. And yeah, couple tries from the Chiefs. 2 from Daniel Rona, the only man to be able to score tries throughout this match at this point. Seen 3 penalties taken by the Hurricanes. Seen 1 also taken by the Chiefs. Warriors are 10 points to 4 up. Says Wade there. But yeah, certainly an eventful first half in terms of just the fact that the Chiefs, a side that don't have, I don't think many of the stats actually in their favour, are winning this game by now a relatively nice margin. I saw Nick Berry and the ref team in Wellington today said, hi, they blanked me, says Thuds Rays. But he probably wasn't used to people just saying hi to him. Like, he's probably used to hearing a lot worse from the public. So he probably thought you said something else. And this game has a finals feel about it. It always does when these two sides play. They just seem to match each other nicely. And there's never a massive one-sided affair. Last time that they played was actually that playoff final taking place last year, and draw at home, have refs in the pocket. Chiefs got screwed. I would have to disagree about having the refs in the pocket at home, because if you look at the end of that game up against the Reds, I think they conceded 6 penalties in the last 12, or in fact it might have been last 18 minutes. All penalties went against the Fijian drawer. So if anything, the ref was doing everything he could to let the Reds win it. But they managed to get back, managed to get the win. What's possessions rate, says Not Oz. It will be up in a quick moment, but I can also get it through the website. We have a quick look, and we have got hello Amish, hello ladies and gents. Hope you're well. Says Sebastian, and must admit, it's not what I normally say to him, says Studs Race. So yeah, he's probably learned how to just zone out people yelling out to him and just go on and get stuff done. But the stats for this first half, possession-wise, it's actually 54% in favour of the home team, the Hurricanes. If only the Reds away, says High Life. Or it's only Reds anyway, sorry, I should say, from High Life. 46% possession for the Chiefs. We've seen 2 tries, metres gained. The Chiefs have actually had more. So I think a lot of those came from the last kind of 10 or so minutes of the half. Clean breaks, defenders beaten, actually both in favour of the Chiefs too. So Hurricanes had a whole heap of possession early on, but just couldn't do anything with it other than squeezing the threes. Love 3 from 3. Now score a try or 2. I believe in your boys. Kane's defence seems quite soft, says Freshman. Our morning everyone from a very cold South Africa, says Xander. Welcome in, mate. Of course, the Blitz Spot's going to be in action a bit later on tonight. We are going to be covering those games on the channel too, so plenty more to look forward to just around the corner. But yeah, it's going to be a very intriguing second half. Second 40 minutes, I would say probably about 7-8 minutes. Any thoughts on Riley Higgins? AB of the future, my opinion, says Studs Race. Very impressive player. Shame about his injury at the start of the season, just because that kind of took him out. But anyone who used to watch our podcast, myself and Tim, I've always been a praiser of Riley Higgins in terms of the possibility of that future 12. Then, of course, you know, you've also got a few other guys fighting for that jersey too. You've got Geordie Barrett at the moment, who seems to get the nod. You've got Quinn Tupaia, Wouldn't mind it. Anton Leonard-Brown, David Harvili. Introduced Satiti early in the half, says Quandile. See, it's a tricky one with Satiti because, of course, it would be great to have him out there as soon as this half gets underway. But at the same time, as the opposition get tired, that's when you want Satiti at his freshest, when he's just going to run rampage. He normally gets a couple line breaks when he makes his way onto the field. If the opposition are just half a step slower, whatever happened to Curtis Rona? He was at the London Irish, wasn't he? And then, I'll have a quick look. He either went to Japan or France, I thought. Dates joined, one moment. Yeah, who played for the London Irish. Where is it? He is currently at the Dynabors in, I believe that's the Japanese top league. Or is that the second? It's founded, entered the top league series playoff. Okay, so yeah, it's in the Japanese top league. Who else is at that club? Marino Makeli too, for some of you guys who will know him from his days. Kurtley Aronsa is also currently at that team. They have got Sora Roland, another Kiwi. Walt Stennekamp, Lewis Chisholm, Jack Stratton, Nthuko or Kuthazani Machunu, the other Machunu brother. So quite a few players. Charlie Lawrence as well, another Kiwi. That doesn't have a Wikipedia page apparently. How about the Adam LZ World Tour in Taupo, says Death. LZ, I have no idea what that is, if I'm being honest. Whatever happened to Curtis? Oh no, I read that one. And Geordie, a good defender and attacker. Barrett Brothers voted the best trio of all time, says Xander. I guess it's quite tricky because there aren't too many other trios, are there? Like sometimes you get to see two brothers in the team, like when it was Akira and Rico, or the Machunus, like I mentioned. They've been in the same team before. The Umaga Jensen's, I think they've always been relatively separated. Who's the same-ish? Another team joining? Says, no, just a top league team that Daniel Rona plays for. And Awaz 10, Cowgirls 6. And also, we've got there, good evening, Amish, says Blues Nate. So yeah, hope you guys are all doing very well. But 24 metres, mate. But he also threw that last-minute interception that did allow the second try of the match for Rona. A few guys stepping up so far throughout this matchup. So we will look through at the bench. We've got sevens again. We certainly do, the Brook brothers. But yeah, not many trios. In fact, other than the Barretts, are there any other trios who have played international rugby? Do let me know, ladies and gents. I know that like Canoni, they've got two Italian brothers. I can't think of too many other trios. Maybe in the older days, we might have seen three of the same fam. But for the Hurricanes off their bench, Raymond Tuputupu, Xavier Numia, and Pasilio Tossi. Zach Gallagher, he has already made his way onto the field due to the change before kickoff. And Brad Shields, Iritana Ineri, Riley Hohepa, and Balin Sullivan, who made his way on for the knee injury of Kenina Holo, looked relatively serious, so hopefully he will be all right before the end of the year. For the Chiefs, they have got Tolkiaho, Aidan Ross, and Ruben O'Neill, Naito Akoi, and Simon Parker, alongside Wallace Satiti, Xavier Rowe, and also Gideon Rappling as the number 23. We have got the LZ World as our drift event. My Los Pumas growling. They are going to be playing a little bit later on at Argentina in the LA Sevens. And so the Barrett trio are the best by default then, says Sando. I guess so. If there's no other trios, then the Tuolangi brothers, have they all been in the same international team? Out of curiosity, there's been a couple of them in the same team at once. And, of course, multiple of them playing international rugby at separate times. The Chiefs to win this game by 13 plus is $2.40, I should say. Can you please remind me of which team Harry Potter plays for? He is at the Western Force. The Going brothers, says Gus. And Hamish, do you think Philly LaRue will appear more than 3 times for the box this year? If I was Rassi, I won't select Philly. So what's the reason behind not selecting him? Out of curiosity. Is it because you are looking towards the future and you're looking at those younger guys that you want to put in 15? Or is it just because you don't like him? Because I know a lot of people don't want to select Willie le Roux because they don't like him. But based off like the form that he had last year, you'd probably argue that he would still get selected. And I think that Rassie, he'd be the type of coach that if he feels that he is good enough to be in there, he'll select him. And looking towards the future, says LJ, so who's your 15 instead? You're looking at, well, Sasha's now playing a bit more at 10, isn't he? Willems is playing 12, but I guess he could go to 15. So you're probably Fassi as the main option. And then Kewan Horn. I think a few people are high on him at the moment, although maybe not so much after the season that the Lions have had. Looking forward towards the future. I think Apalili Fassi might get the nod. I wonder if Harry Potter family were having a laugh when they named him Harry. Well, the thing is, at the time that he was born, the books, I believe the first one had only just come out and his parents hadn't seen it. But apparently Harry Potter was actually quite a common name in England. It's just more so the fact that, just in general, not just in England, but yeah, it's one of those ones that I think he just got unlucky with the timing side of things. He's like Nasty Booter. I don't like Lipstick LeBock, says Ruth. And also Dan John and Joseph Ross brothers, Ireland in 1886, says High Life. That is a little while ago, isn't it? Looking at what is to come for these two sides as well, ladies and gents, while we've got it here. There we go. So next week for the Crusaders and the Chiefs, they will be going head-to-head on the 10th of May, New Zealand time. Now, of course, that is not 9 days away, but that is the time that I did do the thingamabob. And then I've got the bye week, and then I've got Moana Pacifica, and then playing the Highlanders down in Dunedin for the 30th of May. So a busy enough month. 2 New Zealand derbies coming up alongside, of course, the third, which is Hurricanes versus Chiefs, and then Moana Pacifica as their last home game until the playoffs for the Hurricanes. They have got the Highlanders in 2 weeks' time. They have a bye next week. And then the Reds taking on the Hurricanes, and then will be Moana Pacifica. But I would say that the game up against the Reds, that will be a big challenge for this Hurricane side, because if they can get themselves another away win, would drastically help them on the overall standings for the table. Give them a good chance of making it into the top 6. The Wizard Potter in the frame for sure, says Gus. Apalili Fasa, Damien Willemse, Jordan Hendrickse, Kewan Horn, and even Devon Williams last week. Willie was atrocious. He has had a bit of a mixed run at club level, I will give you that. But in that 15 jersey at international, it just seems like Rassie, like Rogers actually just said, probably perfect timing because I was about to say the same thing. Like, with how close he is to his 100 caps, I think that Rassie, out of respect for Willie le Roux, will give him that chance rather than just saying you can hang it up on the mid-90s. In fact, I think he's even closer than mid-90s. He's actually late 90s at the moment for Willie le Roux. We've got there Willie le Roux close to his 100. Rassie will give him that honour, even though it's time to hang up the boots. And Cameron Soafoa is back, says Kiwi Rob, his cancer is back. That is not good news for that man. I know that he had the fight with it, I think it was last year maybe. I never heard of those other trios, says Xander, and Fiji are decent at home. That's how, plus shocking ground conditions help them. And also we have there, damn, no easy games for the teams playing in Fiji, says damn. That was actually Nate. And also, I've only met one Potter in my time in England, and he wasn't a Harry. What was his name? Lily or James Potter, maybe? They're the other ones in the Harry Potter fam. And we are there going, back to going, and on to going, and going's over. Actual commentary for the North Auckland game from the 70s, says Studs Race. And we got Moana, free win bullpen day, as we say in baseball, says High Life. And O'Connor set for a recall, says Gus there. And there's a post on Facebook, Blues Facebook about him. And no easy games for the teams playing in Fiji. And anybody watching the recent interview between Rassie and Nick Mallet, worth watching, quite funny, says Bruce. Second half of this contest very close to getting underway. Ruben Love, he's managed to get all 3 kicks over just at this point in time, but they haven't been able to score a try as of yet for the Hurricanes. In terms of the Chiefs and what they've been able to do, they've scored twice, both coming from Daniel Rona, and a good day off the kick and tee for Josh Jacob too, sitting 3 from 3. Only seen 4 tackles missed from the Chiefs in their from that first half. So having some phenomenal form after Vili Leroux has his 100th cap. I don't think he will be played anymore. Apalele Fasi, Damian Williams, Kuan Horn, Jordan Henderson, and even Devin Williams are outperforming him, says LJ. Yeah, and I think that the thing with Vili Leroux as well is they'll use him as that experienced head. Because, like, of course, I don't know what happens in that Springbok environment or anything along those lines, but I feel like I could safely say Vili Leroux has probably helped Apalele Fasi throughout the last year or so while he's been in that Springboks camp, alongside, of course, the coaches. And, like, that's something that kind of wisdom can be massively beneficial. So even if Vili Leroux does decide to retire at some point soon, I could still see him being in some form connected to the Springbok camps, even if it's just bringing him in every once in a while. Apart from the intercept, it's still close. You're thinking they're going to hit the 60 total mark. They'd have to do well because both sides equaling each other out quite nicely. Although knock on there, in fact, double knock on. Told you they were pretty equal. It's going to be the scrum feed now for the Chiefs, though, just outside of the Hurricanes 22. And we have got there, Vili Leroux is good. Is he the best? Xander. I think that with the injuries that they had, it was definitely him and Fasi leading the charge for them last year. Like, that's the thing. People love to hate Vili Leroux, but at the same time, when you look at some of the key wins that South Africa have had recently, Vili Leroux has been a big part of a few of them. But then those moments go to the back and out of thought when he has a poor game. Vili Leroux gets called up after being dropped to the World Cup, and he's the man now. I heard that story before, says Mr. Orlin. We are underway again. We certainly are. Sitting 41 minutes through, and the first moment of the second half was a knock-on. This is not ideal. That is also not an ideal scrum there for the Chiefs. The ball not quite coming back nicely through the hooker. Josh Jacob. Bit of a standing start for him. Ready to pass it back across to the left-hand side. Ollie Norris. Ratama goes across to Jacobson. This will be another big opportunity for the Chiefs, because if they score now, they actually sit with a bonus point just in this part of the match, which could be absolutely massive for the outcome of this game. Now, Ollie Norris goes up to Daniel Rona, offloads back to Josh Lord, sells the big dummy and almost managed to squeeze his way through. Ratama again going off to Luke Jacobson. South African fans are insufferable worse than the Aussies. There's high life, but the thing is, we've also met a massive amount of awesome South African fans. I think it's the same as every country. You get a few that take it too far. It's no different to any other nation out there. Plus, we've been probably abused by people from about 25 at least different countries. And I can tell you right now, yes, the South Africans can throw a bit of a punch, but some other countries have gone deeper in terms of the insult jar. And that's going to be nicely claimed there by the Hurricanes in the breakdown, and they will get the penalty. That's going to be about 25 metres out from the line now that they will be able to kick this one into touch. Now, it is their own line, so they'll only get up to about the halfway line. Good luck to the Chiefs and the Canes. Cheers, Blues, Nate. I know a guy who had a dog called Huff Past 6. Why? Was that his favourite time or something? No, I never get World Cup 95. I was there, says iLife. Good luck to the Chiefs and the Canes. Yeah, good steal in the breakdown. It was actually a Isaiah Walker Leo Woody who popped out with it. As a Kiwi, I disagree. It's hard and mean, but it's with love, like an old brother picking on you, says Wade. Now Safai Moore, ready to throw this ball in. Nicely claimed by the Hurricanes. Duplessis Karifi goes across to Cam Royar. Quick hands from Proctor. Love on the outside. Goes to Harkin. Dragged down by Leroy Carter. Natunani Punavai. In fact, that time it was Balin Sullivan keeping it alive for the Canes. AJ Lamb was amazing yesterday for the Blues. Yeah, I don't know what happened, why he wasn't starting, because he was initially in the starting lineup, I thought. But, yeah, instead actually made his way off the bench. But straight away, impact. Pretty much came on, scored within 5 minutes, maybe even shorter than that. South African fans are sound, in my opinion. There's always a minority of fans anywhere that are insufferable. Remember Mr. Marmite, says Kuno Vic. Now this one's going to be thrown in by the Chiefs. They're sitting about 15 metres out. Did you hear about Bob Jones? I don't even know who Bob Jones is, if I'm honest, so no. So I don't know whether it's sports related or like famous person related, or if Bob's from my local town. I don't know Bob. My neighbour used to be called Bob. He's now not my neighbour. He's living overseas. That's a bit of irrelevant information. Kicked into touch by Josh Jacob. And this one didn't get them a huge amount of distance downfield, which does now mean another opportunity for the Hurricanes inside of Chiefs territory, but they need to convert something here. And you must be young. South Africa aren't our brothers. Australia are our Trans-Tasman brothers, says a High Life. He's a New Zealander, or the New Zealander guy that passed away, right, says not Ost. The New Zealander guy. See, I don't know who he is, but I'm sure someone would know. He got banned by a moderator, says Blues Nate. Now sitting 10 metres out from the line for the Hurricanes, Cam Roygaard, going back across to the left-hand side to Lomax. Now off to the left, Ruben Love. Oh, he should have passed that. He thought that he saw a gap, though, so it was worth a crack. Now Roygaard, he almost creates a gap rather than seeing one. Quick hands from Isaiah Walker-Leaweri with the pick and go. Peter Larkai going off to Yossi. In behind Proctor. Out to Sullivan, who will score it. And out wide, the Canes have finally struck. We have there. Bob Jones was one of the richest men in New Zealand. Used to own the tallest building in Christchurch and had a political party. What's the tallest building in Christchurch, out of curiosity? I didn't know Christchurch had any absolutely massive skyscrapers around. And Try Hurricane says, LJ the man. Got fined 2,000 for punching someone's nose. Asked the judge if I pay another 2,000, can I punch him again? Says Wade. Yeah, nice pass from Billy Proctor. Gets the try assist. Balin Sullivan finishes it off. And it gives the Canes now a snippet back into this game. Damn, the Chiefs says high life. Yeah, not the start to the second half that they would have been after. We're now back within 7 between these two teams. Ruben Love getting ready to kick this one. Was on a Chris Eubank Jr. versus Gonna Be in Fight Live podcast. Man, he was right off his rocker, right out of order. Even for an Englishman. Only joking about the English, says Ghetto Wick. And Go the Canes, we're still in it, says Death. Ruben Love, he's had 100% accuracy today. That's normally a very good way of jinxing kickers, so hopefully that's not the case, but he lines it up. And he has got it over. Should now make the score 16 points to 17. It's going to be a close one. 33 minutes remaining. Balin Sullivan gets himself the try, though. It's been a good day for the backs currently. I hope the warm weather, or the weather is warm for you. Says Blues Nate to Kunovic. Now kicked off long, nicely taken by Billy Proctor inside of the 22. Berry telling them to release him, going back across to the left-hand side, Braden Yossi. Inside of the 22 is the comment there from the ref. So we'll be able to kick this one towards the touchline. Nicely taken by Sean Stevenson. Now off to Josh Jacob on the inside. See, this is one of those ones that it just seems like both sides, now that there's been a try scored by each, we're going to see about 3 or 4 more. Bob Jones was a good New Zealander. That's all you need to know, says Wade. That one's going to go into touch. Wait, was it in touch? Oh no, Callum Harkin taking it out. So that will now be a Chiefs line out. 100% bring it home, Canes, says Shane. Oh. Okay, so I think that's maybe Kalen Boshier. Did they have to take him off the field for an HIA? It might have been the case. But now, thrown in. Jacobson claims well. Ratama going back across to the left-hand side. Short ball to Boshier, so it obviously wasn't him who made his way off. Now, Billy Proctor, low tackle. Riley Hohepa's actually on there, so it might have been someone in that backline. In fact, it was Riley Higgins, now that I think about that challenge that they showed. I see that recently the breakdown pundits went very popular under the URC fans. Someone care to explain? So pretty much Stephen Donald said in the roundabout way that Geordie Barrett shouldn't be the 12 for New Zealand because he's playing in a lower level comp in the URC. Now, that did not go down well. But one thing that went up big time was the breakdowns viewers. So people are debating whether or not it was some sort of plan to try and invoke some reaction to try and get extra views, or whether or not it was just Stephen Donald just not knowing much about the URC. But yeah, it certainly fired something up. But yeah, they're doing quite well for themselves now, the breakdown, in terms of their numbers. So if that was their plan, it definitely worked as a marketing stunt. And they knew people wouldn't turn against Stephen Donald because he won New Zealand a World Cup. That man took the kick. He's got a movie about him. So, like, no one's going to say anything bad about him. Oh, that one's taken back, was it? By the Hurricanes. A couple rough kicks coming at the start of this half. We have got the Good Morning Hamish Champions Cup later on, indeed, and also Challenge Cup. We are covering Bath versus Edinburgh first. That is going to be kicking off at 2 a.m. Awesome, Hamish, says Peter Pahi. And Stephen just telling the truth, says Shane. But it's very much so, like, oh, that looks like an injury to Kalen Boshier. The way that he's got his arm hanging down, that thing looks like it's not where it should be. But yeah, it's all down to opinions about what type of rugby people enjoy watching. We get the best of both worlds because we cover both comps and we enjoy both comps. So, like, it's great. Now we have got the Bob Jones, usually involved in boxing, sadly an extreme right in politics, says Dion Sands. Now we have got the advantage, Hurricane, says LJ, and thrown in now by a Safwa Moore, sitting 30 metres out from the line. Was that deliberate? Just a knock on. I was going to say, if the one earlier on from Harkin wasn't counted as deliberate, that one shouldn't be either. And Satiti is on. Says Danny is indeed coming on for Kalen Boshier. And that's now going to be interesting for the next little while. And we have got there, I will be in for both brekkie time here. Coffee and toast, scrambled eggs. Looks like Corey Jane just having a little bit of a chat with someone in the back of the coaching box. Clayton McMillan, I should say, watching on too. Seeing 9 handling errors from the Chiefs, and that is certainly a number that they will not want to see. And just kidding, says Shane. And Geordie Barrett still clearly the best option for 12, or at 12 for New Zealand. Tapaya, Tavatavanawa and Lamb been playing pretty well. So some feel they should get first shot, rewarding loyalty, so to speak, says Elson. Yeah, and like, as unpopular of an opinion as it is, I still don't think this could be a mile off, and that is people maybe forgetting about David Havili. Not so much what the public would select, but we've got to remember who the coach is. A guy who brought in David Havili last year during a time where everyone felt like Havili was in some of his worst form, yet he got selected in that 12 options. So, will Razor go that way again? Now, nicely taken by Ruben Love. Nicely taken by Duplessis Karefi. 40 metres out from the line here with the Hurricanes down by 1 point with 28 minutes to go. Plenty of time to be able to get a comeback, but also plenty of time to lose this game if the Chiefs can get 1 or 2 more to their name. For any of these sides to get a bonus point, the Hurricanes would need 4 more tries. The Chiefs would need 2. Oh, didn't quite get the offload away for Riley Higgins. Close to the touchline for Proctor. That it's going to be nicely done by Sean Stevenson to force him into touch. And Tenako Ahoa says Peter Pahi. And also Kia ora, Morena, Nate Lovely. Yeah, good tackle made by Leroy Carter. That was just forcing Higgins close enough to the sideline to have to throw that next pass away. Now, Samasoni Taukiaho, it will be his first line-out throw. Position now sitting 50-50 in this contest, and I feel like that is roughly what it will stay at for the rest of the game. That is not straight from the Chiefs. See, that's the tricky part. And it goes back to what someone asked earlier on about based off current form, who would your hooker be? But, you know, in terms of, you know, you want someone who's going to throw the ball straight. And Taukiaho has been susceptible to having a couple wonky ones throughout the season. Same with the Safwa Moore, to be fair. Where's my rugby ladies, Hamish? My groupie gang, miss them. I'm going to have to send you love on behalf of them, says Ruth. We might see a couple of them later on, just because I think a lot of them are in the north. A lot of them, that sounds like there's more than one. Now, Tyrell Lomax, good tackle there. Roygaard going back across to the right. Oh, that was an ugly one for the knees of Xavier Numia, but it looks like he's going to be all right. Yeah, that could have been really bad. Does the score tell the story of the match? I think so, to a certain extent. Like, the Hurricanes weren't able to score too often throughout the early stages, so they took threes, which wasn't the terrible idea in the scheme of things, but now they have to start scoring more. The Chiefs were able to score twice. Harvey, a good player, but hold the ball. He has dropsies most games, says TH. And also, come on, my Chiefs win the game, says Novmum. In there as well. Yeah, they are just struggling at the moment, so jumping into the ball for Xavier Numia, which is why that isn't a penalty. I think that's what the coaches realised as well. Josh Lord, he will be making his way from the field now. That is for Naitoa Akoi, who will get 25 minutes at the end of this game. It's been a good return for Josh Lord since coming back from his injury. So it's only Taukiaho now. Oh, that's... Tell you what, that was almost worse, but luckily it's kind of come round in the breeze and it's going to be a straight enough throw. And Hurricanes need a bang over now. Take the lead hat-trick try, please. Well, someone who's relatively close to the hat-trick, of course, is Daniel Rona. Just needs one more. Finau smoked him, says Gus. And now, rolling this one back in the breakdown. Looks like Ratama again will send this one to the sky. Thank you again, Hamish, says Peter. No worries at all. We've got plenty more coming throughout the night. We've got the Champions Cup semi-final. We've got the Challenge Cup semi-final. We've also got the evening of sevens. Well, the early morning, late afternoon. And also we have there, Hamish. What do you think of the Grand Tour? I am the one out of the four of the Kiwi lads who don't watch it. Nothing against it at all. It's just all the others grew up watching it and I never really did. But from the sounds of it, it's not a bad show. Now going back across to the right-hand side. Nice pass from Tupai. Goes to Naitoa Akoi. Passes off to Amoni Narua. Just hasn't been given any sort of room to be able to work with. Has Canterbury got a bye this week? They certainly do, yes. And then next week the Hurricanes have the bye. And then the week after that, I believe the Chiefs do. So a few New Zealand byes in a row. Going off to the left-hand side. Well, it's a TT carry for him. Tackled early by Gallagher. Now Jacob. Going off to the left-hand side, Leroy Carter almost sneaks through a gap. But both sides have defended well. I think the Chiefs at halftime had only missed 4 tackles. Run from Tupaia. Now Rona runs low at Balin Sullivan. Tigers versus Dragons, says Gus. Now Jacobson trying to sneak through. Ratama. And across to Jacob, finds the TT again. They chop him down like he's a tree. Jacob decides to just boot this one downfield. Might have got a little bit too much on it, and it goes into the in-goal area. Ruben Love will just force this one down. Will be the goal line dropout. Both sides just trying to find some sort of big moment here. It's able to turn this game around. How old is Josh Adams, number 10 for the Chiefs? So Josh Jacob. Josh Adams, of course, the winger for Wales, but Josh Jacob, I think he's 21. I'll have a quick look, though. He might actually be just a little bit older than 21. 23. Born on the 23rd of June, 2001. So one of the young up-and-comers out of New Zealand for the Fly Halves. Adams is old enough to play. Says Ruth. I'll pop out later before visitors come to get a cheese bacon burger from my pub. That sounds pretty decent. Josh Jacob now almost goes through again. That's been the summary of attack in this game. Very close to breaking through and then just missing out. Ollie Norris, good carry from him, turned into a rolling maul almost. Looks like the person who'd be interested in Tour de France. For myself, nah, no interest whatsoever. Like, I don't mind cycling, like doing it myself, but I wouldn't watch someone else do it, I don't think, unless it's like the Olympics round the track. But Tour de France, just not quite my thing. And we have got there, let's go, the Chiefs, says Peter Pahe, now stolen by the Hurricanes. Callum Harkin, open space, plenty of pace to match it too. This is a great run forward in the last-ditch tackle made by Josh Jacob. Almost a knock-on on the ground. That time there is one from Wallace Satiti as he tries to regather. Picked up by Larkai. Bumps off Leroy Carter, and then he drags him down high. That was, or should be, a penalty advantage, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. Oh, lining him up early, Summer Penny Finau on Riley Hohepa. Billy Proctor sells as if he was going to kick it, gets it off to Riley Higgins, who needs to link up, but he's hit with a shoulder from Sean Stevenson. This game's turning into rugby league real quick, except there probably would have been about 3 sin bins by now. Safwa Moore, 10 metres out from the line. Another advantage to the Hurricanes. Balin Sullivan, they decide not to tackle him, and he scores his second try. 2 men now have the chance of a hat-trick, and they're the only 2 guys who have scored today. Riley Higgins says Blues, Nate. And in the lead, Hurricane says LJ. And in there as well. If you were close by, Hamish, I would have taken you up for one, says Ruth. And I will cry and Sullivan in the mix, says Gus. Yeah, his second try, and that was just great build-up play from the Hurricanes. About 4 different guys had to get their moves right there. And yeah, tried to go to the short side. It was obstructed by the Chiefs. My whole bar cheered really loud. Says, what's up, guys? So I'd assume that bar's probably going for the Canes then. In that case, Hamish Boom, maybe 2 hat-tricks coming. Hurry, boys, says Ruth. Yeah, the big dive from Balin Sullivan too. Hit back Chiefs, says Nov Mum. Callum Harkin. It all started from their own 22 in about 5 phases of getting tackled. And even under the pressure from Samapeni Finau rushing up, it was brilliantly done by Riley Hohepa to get the ball away and keep it alive in that scenario. Now, Ruben Love, though, to line up this kick. And he's got it over, making the score now. Oh, he's skipping. That's how happy he is, doing a little bit of a skip back to the halfway line for Ruben Love. Now 23. Okay, they are just showing that shoulder from Sean Stevenson. Like I mentioned, didn't look like there were a huge amount of arms involved in it other than the top half. But is that what the advantage... Oh! I didn't even see that. He's gone to the bin for 10 minutes, ladies and gents, Sean Stevenson. That was a bad move. I didn't even realise that had happened. I thought that it was for something to do with offside, but no, they actually did go up and say that was illegal from Sean Stevenson. You can spend 10 minutes in the bin now. That might really hurt this Chiefs side, down by 6, down by 1 in terms of the amount of men on the field. Nicely claimed by Zach Gallagher. The momentum firmly in favour of the home side now. And back, says Colin. Welcome back. Tied by Cam Roygard. Close game, says Colin. Yeah, very close. Oh, both men jumping up for it. No one able to claim it. Josh Jacob just gets run into touch by Braden Yossi. Smart move from him rather than engaging and trying to catch the ball. Just wait for the man to land, push him into touch and take the line out. Another change about to be made. Brad Shields making his way on. That is for Braden Yossi. Looked like he wanted to continue in this game, but he has been told his day is done. Field goal, Kane, says TH. Any sort of penalty now might benefit them massively. That one's going to be overthrown. Jumping on it was Samasoni Tolkiaho, but just knocks it on when grabbing it, and the penalty goes against the Chiefs. Hurricanes do good, says John. Playing the ball on the ground as the more games today. There is the match between the Waratahs and the Brumbies, but I'm not covering that one on the channel. Later on tonight, I'm going to be doing the Challenge Cup game between Edinburgh and Bath. Then it is the Champions Cup taking place. Oh, Zaya Wakaliawiri in the wrong place, putting Ruben Love off, so he tells him to get out of the way. Champions Cup, Northampton versus Leinster. And then there's probably about 12 games of sevens that we're also covering on the channel too. URC has more pro, high salaries, the rugby tighter and worse conditions, very power technique. Super is more raw talent, better weather, more expansive, less technical, more heads up, says Shane. And about the 6 says the Novmara and Connor Hurricanes. Pull it out, please. And chance of golden point, I would say for this game in particular, not very high. That is a very big line out that's almost gone to the halfway width-wise. The Chiefs are in possession. I see that Xavier Rowe, he has made his way onto the field for Cortez Aratima. Ross is on and Norris is off. Callum Harkin now looking for the 50-22. Where is the Chiefs defence? There is absolutely no one back there. Oh, it's hit the post. I think that's hit the post and ricocheted to the left, which will be a 50-22. Right, they'll have to check this one. It is definitely an attempt at a 50-22 for Callum Harkin, and it has bounced off the flag and then has gone out. So it's a 50-22. That is, the coaches were very happy with it. And that is a phenomenal kick from Callum Harkin. That is the equivalent of winning a penalty just out from your opposition line and then kicking it into the corner. And what a kick, says Goldblood Rugby. The thing is, fantastic kick, but I'm sure he was extremely nervous when that was rolling closer and closer to the dead ball line, and he was half an inch of having to go right back to 55 out from the line. Oh, that's gone really down awkwardly. Another penalty advantage here for the Hurricanes. They seem to be taken over in this game. Cross kick attempted by Ruben Love. Balin Sullivan will get the hat trick off the bench. And he has been on fire since making his way on. Of course, massive credit needs to go to Ruben Love. Can you tell I put bets down? Says Colin. But that is a sensational try again from the Hurricanes, who have just completely changed this game now in very quick succession. Cross kick, no one out there for the Chiefs as Stevenson was sitting in the bin. And look at there, Chuck says in a light. And there as well. But yeah, great finish from the winger Balin Sullivan, well, the centre as well, depending on whereabouts he finds himself situated in the match. But yeah, massive smile on his face after that one. And that's how you do's it, says Shane. And Ruben Love kicking is on fire, says Tanner. Yeah, it seems like he's made his adjustments, which is very good. Because, like I said, first start of the game, first 10 minutes or so, couple rough ones along there, but then he just seems like he's really brought it back. Any Kiwis involved in Champions Cup tonight? Geordie Barrett playing off the bench for Leinster in the game up against the Northampton Saints. In the Edinburgh-Bath game, I don't know of too many Kiwis in there. That kick has also gone over from Ruben Love, and now they lead by 13. What a difference a few minutes can make in Super Rugby. Should have had Canes on the rolly bet. Says Mr. All In, but yeah, picture perfect cross kick going to Balin Sullivan. Hurricanes kicking into gear late in the season. Says Colin, yeah, the returns of Proctor, the return of Higgins, just seems like they're starting to find a really strong lineup that is heavily helping them. And we have got there no boil-ups for the Chiefs if they lose. Says Blues Nate, and even though I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm okay with the Hurricanes winning. The less Australian teams in the top 6, the better. Says the Sporting Kiwi. And FFS, this is awesome. Says Keith, yeah, it's been quite the 5 minutes. And we've got to remember, Sean Stevenson's still going to be off for another 4 or so. Tucker, he makes his way onto the field for Zach Gallagher. Now going to be kicked high by Cam Roygard. Down towards the halfway line, nicely claimed by Leroy Carter. Oh, looking for the turnover there in the breakdown. Almost had it, but it will be now the advantage for, I believe it's for the knock on. I'm going to try Chiefs, please actually get 3, says Novbum. Well, that's the thing. They've gone from being 2 tries up to now 1 try down, theoretically, in terms of the bonus point situation. It means that if the Hurricanes can somehow force their way to 2 more tries without the Chiefs scoring 1, they would actually get a bonus point for this performance, which would be absolutely massive for them. Warriors 28 points to 12, so a good game so far for the Warriors by the looks of it. As Roygard outplayed Ratima. I would say first half was probably Ratima's, but I do think that Roygard probably had the better of the start of the second half, and then now Xavier Rowe is on the field. So they actually decided to change pretty early in terms of their number 9. But yeah, I think that it's one of those ones that both of them haven't been bad in this game. Oh, big run from Wallace Satiti. So Peter Lakai once again just trying to get those turnovers. He's been working for them all day, but just hasn't been too successful in it. Now Xavier Rowe goes across to Leroy Carter, tackled by Proctor. And Hurricanes vs Crusaders final maybe, says Colin. I'll pop pass up. Here again. Searching for it was Xavier Rowe. 12 minutes left now for the Chiefs to work. They've got a man disadvantage for another 2 minutes. Penalty again goes the way of the Hurricanes. This time it is Duplessis Karifi does pop up with it. He's just trying to fire up his team again here. He said all ball, that is what I just read from the lip reading there. But now they will once again be able to kick this one towards the touchline. And this is where this game can easily slip away if you are the Chiefs. One more try now. You're looking at scoring 3 converted tries in the last 10 minutes of the contest. Surprise score, says Hanoi. You see, only 5 minutes ago, we were 16 points to 17. And now it's just completely changed, being tipped on its head. It's like they're going to make the change here. Cam Roygaard, he will make his way off, and that is for Eritara Inari. And Daniel Rona, he's been taken off the field, which does mean that he will not get his opportunity to score the hat trick. I think Nisbo on the commentary just said a little bit early, Eritara Inari was just smashed by Basilio Tossi, who was also on his team. I should mention, just check my TV. Get this game on Sky Sport Mix and Brumbies versus Waratahs. We'll mute TV and listen to Hamish. Although we aren't doing the Brumbies versus Waratahs game, I should quickly say we are going to be having a bit of a rest before the Challenge and Champions Cup as well as the Sevens. We are going to be going right through for another 16 hours or so before the last live stream. In fact, 17 hours, I think it is. Hurricanes are number 2 Kiwi team with this win, surely, says Colin. It's still very early on, and the table does at the moment say otherwise. But, yeah, it's certainly a big win to have. But they can't count their chickens before they hatch. This game's not over. There's still time left. 10 minutes. We're now it is 15 on 15, and the Chiefs have got themselves the feed and the penalty advantage. Going short side to a Moni Narawa trying to break through, and Eritara Enari does knock him down and into touch. Super Rugby Pacific extremely tight. Any team can beat any on the day, says Studs Rays, and that's what makes it so entertaining. You just don't know what you're going to expect when the sides take to the field. Does kick that one into touch for Eritara Inari. The penalties in the second half, there's been 3 against the Chiefs, 1 against the Hurricanes. That's their first penalty that they've given away since about 33 minutes. If the Chiefs can grind this out, it would be impressive, says Hanoi. And these are also the type of games that, as a side near the top of the table, and at the moment at the top of the table, these type of games you quite enjoy. The ones where you're tested and you have to work out how to win. Because if you're winning games easy heading into the playoff games, sometimes you can head in with a bit of complacency. But the Chiefs have certainly been tested here and now need those 2 converted tries, so they will look to find a way through. Big shot on Quinn Tobias by Brad Shields. Xavier Rowe again. We're going off to the side. Simon Parker finds Josh Jacob. He throws the interception to Billy Proctor. We've gone full circle since the first half. Balin Sullivan chasing after it. Mistake there from Gideon Rampling. It's a bit of a fumble of the ball. I think the Canes have almost got that no. In the end, it was Xavier Rowe who pops up with it. What a half from the Hurricanes. His freshman year, completely different to what we saw in the first half. Second half, they've been clinical. And Balin Sullivan has scored 3 tries. Has Nick Berry been okay today, Hammy, says Hanoi. He's let quite a bit go today, which I feel like if it's an interesting one. I think I would prefer that the game flows more like it is here rather than it being stop, start with a penalty every 5 seconds. So, I don't think he's done too badly here overall in terms of just letting the game slightly flow. Has anyone kept the Chiefs scoreless in a half this season? That's a stat that I do not know. I know that they've scored quite a few points throughout their second halves, but I'm not sure whether or not there's been one game that they haven't been able to score any. The one that comes to mind would be the Waratahs Chiefs or Fiji and Drua Chiefs, just because those are the 2 games that they've lost. So maybe one of those two, they might have had a scoreless half. Has anyone kept the Chiefs? Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Now, Iritara Eneri. This man's on top of him, says Nick Berry, so he doesn't give away the penalty. Oh, it's kicked him behind. Balin Sullivan gets his 4th try of the match. He's just chilling out on the wing. Hitting a holo. The poor man will be sitting there with probably the knee brace on. Might even have a green whistle just to try and numb the pain. And he'll just be watching a man out on his wing score 4. And game over, I will cry. Says Novmama, if the Chiefs lose this, it gives the Hurricanes a good opportunity to go top next week. Or at least have a game in hand. Yeah, the fact that these two sides, looking at the way this game is going, the Chiefs and the Hurricanes might be on, Chiefs and the Crusaders might be on the exact same points going into next week, which will then, I believe, determine who finishes top of the table, whoever wins that game. So that adds a little bit more oomph to that next week's contest now. Brumbies would be happy. Could go close to Crusaders if they win today, says Annoy. That is also true. They will be slowly gaining. As a Blues fan, go the Hurricanes, says Goat. Now ready to line this one up for Ruben Love. What a run, says Ruth. And let's go. And that one's missed away to the side. 35 points to 17 now. 18 points difference between the two sides. But Balin Sullivan out there scoring tries for fun. Sullivan having a day out off the pine, outstanding. The drums are beating. Now I guess we have to start asking the question. I know that players have scored 5 tries before in a Super Rugby game. I think someone may have even got 6. But what is the most tries that someone has been able to score off the bench in a Super Rugby game, I wonder? Because Balin Sullivan's got 4 already. Surely he's right up there, at least maybe tying for it. Please, can we have D-Mac back next week? And Higgins with the assist, says Studs raised and well, not even close, says NZ Riding. Good game tonight. Nicely taken by Balin Sullivan, who at the moment just can't put a foot wrong. How's Roygard gone today? I love the commentary, thanks. Says Kareem, he hasn't been too bad overall, Cam Roygard. Like, he's had some very strong moments. It does seem to be the quicker that he's been able to get that ball out, the more that the backline's been able to find ways of breaking down this Chiefs side. Hurricanes already got 5 points, says Pie. Do they? Chiefs have scored 2, Hurricanes have scored 4. So they need one more try to get the 5 point. So they've got 4 at the moment, but one more try would change that. I actually don't bet, but I would have won a lot today, says Ruth, and another one. And morning over, says Albert, welcome in. Riley Hohepa, he is back out onto the field. That is for Callum Harkin. Did spend a brief amount of time out there on the field for the HIA. Duplessis Karefi gets another steal in the breakdown. The Canes are all over them. Although some good defence coming from the Chiefs there with a counter ruck. It is a really ugly one. Looked like a knock on there from Leroy Carter as he tried to grab that ball. It will be another scrum. What a masterclass of rugby by the Hurricanes, says Stu's World. D-Mac okay, but not missed in the forwards. Chiefs have problems, says DH, and Sullivan could go in again, says Gus. He's got potential. We see it there. 4 tries in the second half. And the Chiefs have only had one notable moment in the game track, and that was the yellow card for Sean Stevenson. We have got there, Kirtley Bell holds the record for most tries off the bench in the old Super Rugby. How many was that, Albert? I assume it was either 4 or 5. But now, ball's going in now for Iritara Eneri. It's just about keeping their structure here, the Hurricanes, not conceding that try, trying to get one of their own. They do feed this ball in. Hurricanes trying to get the penalty. Ref says, no, you're not having it. Clayton will be giving the boys a good talking to, says Novmum. You see smiles. Every single person in that, well, a majority of them anyway were smiling at that point. A couple of them still not too happy, although I don't know if some of them are actually able to smile. Just messing with you, have no idea. Says Albert. That's a shame. And we have got there, this is a running away from the Chiefs, says Roof. Well and truly, with just 3 minutes left, the Hurricanes, who would have predicted 35 points to 17? I saw Reed today, says Ollie. Now, another scrum here. The Hurricanes wouldn't mind the penalty advantage, but I do think that their set piece has been strong enough that just going for it here might worked nicely. Did someone orchestrate the Hurricanes win or team effort? I think that it's just been overall team effort. The forwards have done their job in the second half. The back line has looked crisp. Here comes Ruben Love in open space again. He's got Balin Sullivan with him. He's running away. He's saying, you're not getting 5, mate. Oh, yeah, Tara Enery going across. It just seems like they've got more men on the field at the moment with the amount of gaps in this Chiefs defence. They are tired, but that was a bullet pass to Xavier Numi. Almost hits him in the face. He knocks it on, but they will go back for another offside penalty going against the Hurricanes. Up against the Chiefs. Over there, Wainua and Macca Springer have 5 tries, but 18 have scored 4 tries. Yeah, so I wonder if any of those guys have been off the bench for their tries, because I feel like Balin Sullivan's got to be in a bit of an exclusive club at the moment after this contest. A nice Miles Laidlaw and Jane McIntosh, and hoping Villy LaRue has the record. That'd be cool. Says Studs Race. Surely Cole's got a few meat pies off the pine. He certainly had a few chats with certain players off the pine. Getting a big smile on his face. I don't know whether or not that's because they've given him some sort of painkillers or something, but he seems in good spirits. Hopefully he's going to be all right for the future games. And Hurricanes destroy the gorilla now, says Pro Pleb. I could not care less that Karefi is slightly undersized for test level. He's an absolute baller. Says Freshman. But now, trying to roll this one forward here for the Hurricanes. 5 metres out from the line and just 1 minute remaining. They've been told to use it once. Well defended by the Chiefs. Eritara Enery goes across there. Riley hands him behind. Riley Hoipa finds Ruben Love with the pass round the back, and it is forward. Got to be a bit too fancy there. I think the Blues can handle Talia off for 3 weeks. I mean, they won their last game without him, so that's a bit of a bonus, I guess. And honestly, like, Cole Forbes out on that right wing, scoring 2 tries, almost had 3. Looked all right. It seemed like it didn't hurt them too badly. But then saying that, the Western Force didn't look like they fully showed up. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Brian Urbana could be candidate for tries off the bench record. Says Albert. I feel like it's one of those stats that they probably don't have very easily accessible. Who has the most tries in an individual game? Oh, I thought that I heard Nisbo say they're going to take the points, but he meant for this game. And I thought for a second he was saying an individual game off the bench. Off the bench in Super Rugby. Okay, he's saying Macca Springer, but that was, of course, not off the bench. There's a siren. The Chiefs, they can't get anything from this game. So you just wonder whether or not it's a terrible thing to do as a team down by so much. But kicking the ball into touch here in the long scheme of things wouldn't be a terrible idea. Because they can't get a bonus point for being within 7, but they can get injured. And Taukiaho, nice run there, big shot on Amoni Narawa by Peter Larkai. So you're taking all the risk. Hurricanes, if they get this ball back, they're certainly going to go for another try. Tupavai, nice offload up to Naitoa Akoi. Numbers here for the Chiefs. Might pay off going for the extra try, but like I said, can't gain much from it other than points differential. Josh Jacob across to Naitoa Akoi. Rush defense from Higgins. Gets sit down by Taukiaho. And also, you got the ads because you always open different things in YouTube. Says Pie, that's going to be nicely run forward by Amoni Narawa. They move up to 22 metres out from the Canes line. Another tackle is made. Yeah, the Chiefs want to be the last team to score. That's going to be another 3-pointer here. Xavier Numia not giving that ball away. Right, what will be the decision? Rolling maul might be on the cards, perhaps. Like they've said, won't be a kick at goal. Josh Jacob looks like he's going to go for the corner. At awesome games, Canes. Next couple of months of Super Rugby is going to be great, says Suds Rays. Absolutely. There's going to be plenty of head-to-heads that are pretty much split, like they've said. Playing for pride here for the Chiefs, which is all well and good. But when your injury list persists of 10 backs, you don't want to lose another one. You know, if someone, let's say Amoni Narawa, breaks his ankle now, or Quinn Tupaia does his knee, that could have very heavy backlash for the Chiefs in the later stages of the game. It looks like a rolling maul try could be on the cards, though, for Samasoni Taokiaho. So I would say that they won't leave this game completely disappointed, but certainly would have loved a few more tries. Well, it's a TT off the back. He's going to be held up over the line here. Hurricanes trying to secure it. Ruben Love, they're just going to push that one into touch for the Hurricanes, and they will win this game. They weren't focused on the 5. They wanted the 4, and that is what they've gotten from this game. A few players slow to get up and just making sure no one's got an injury. Leroy Carter looks like he was the most banged up from that rolling maul. And Crusaders have the bye this weekend, says Mysterion. They certainly do, but they are playing up against the Chiefs next week. And both of those sides are on 39 points now, with the opportunity of one of them to boost massively above the other. And the Brumbies hot on the heels, trying to find a way of catching up as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Next live stream that we have got on the channel, we are going to do the Challenge Cup game between Edinburgh and Bath. That is kicking off at 2 a.m. New Zealand time. Leinster versus Northampton Saints. That is taking place at 4:30 a.m. New Zealand time. And then the sevens all throughout from pretty much 6 a.m. right through to about 1:30, maybe 2 p.m. tomorrow. That's going to be the next run that we've got. So we've got another 12-hour shift coming in about 5 hours' time. To anyone who's new, sure to leave a like and subscribe if you do want to tune in throughout any of those games. Big win for the Hurricanes, 35 points to 17. I will see you all for the next one.